Mel from Movement and New Fitness Coaching. Today we're having our first Junk Food Friday recipe go live. We're looking at cooking beef and bean nachos. Now you can make it vegetarian if you want by taking the beef out. All of this information is in the recipe blog. If you use the link and go to my website, you can download the recipe and all the information's in there of everything I'm doing right now. We're going to start with sweating off the garlic with a tablespoon of oil. So I'm just using a low heat or medium heat because we don't want to burn or colour the garlic. Sweating off means to take it until the garlic is translucent. So I'm just going to let that sit there while I talk you through some of these key ingredients we've got. So I've got my spice mix already done. Maybe that's something you want to do to save time instead of having to do it all when you're making the recipe. Get the spice mix recipe ready to go. I've got my corn kernels in the recipe blog. I explain if you want to get a fresh corn cob, or you might have a leftover fresh corn cob, cut the corn off as long as it comes to a cup. All of my veggie quantities are based on the Australian Guide to Healthy Eating and the measurements we should be eating in our diet as a serve. So the recipe is for 2 people. You'll see that on the blog. So we got our corn. We've got our fresh kidney beans. So I soaked them overnight. Then I cooked them. You're more than welcome to use tin beans, but you got to remember you're not doing your body any favours. You might be time poor. Understandable. As long as you're getting some legumes into your diet, it's better than none at all. The next bit is the mince. I explain how you can mince that meat yourself, and I just get pure rump steak. So all the fat's cut off, well, not all of it, very minimal fat within that meat compared to even getting your extra lean mince that you can buy. But once again, if you're time poor, then buy your extra lean meat as your choice. Now that garlic is pretty much ready, so I'm going to actually add my spice mix to the pan. And to do that, we turn it down a little bit and I sprinkle it around. I'm going to stir that. I'm going to give it a stir because I need it to mix with the oil so it doesn't burn and stick. Now on that low temperature, the spices become aromatic, and when you can smell them, which isn't quite yet, that's when it's time to turn the heat back up to high, get the pan quite hot, because we're going to add the beef and seal it off. If we add the beef to a low temperature pan, it's just going to remove all the juices from it and create a stewing effect and not give off some nice caramelizing flavors that we want to experience. So I'm just going to let that become aromatic while I do a couple of other things with you. All right, so those spices are beautiful and aromatic. I wish you could smell them here with me. It's fantastic. I feel like I'm in a Mexican cantina. I've got my beef mince. I'm going to drop that in to the hot pan that I've turned up on high, and it's going to seal off. You hear that sizzle? So what I've just done there, I've flattened the mince out so it can all seal. I'll let it sit there for a couple of minutes and then I'll mix it all so it turns over and the other side gets nice and brown. So while it's browning, we're going to go through the guacamole. Now for the guacamole, beautiful avocado, nice and ripe. 3 tablespoons of 99% fat-free natural yogurt. Give it a go. It's really creamy. Tastes just as good as the others. You don't really need that sugar. So what we do with that is I'm going to cut it in half, and you're thinking, but wait, there's no lemon. All right, so with the avocado, the easiest way to get the beautiful flesh out and not leave any behind, split it in half. Then, to deal with the seed, just a little tap and scrape it out. Take your fork and just work your way around the shell. Now, About that lemon I talked about, you do not need to use lemon to stop the avocado going brown when you have natural yogurt, and it keeps it for even longer than lemon. So when you use natural yogurt, it keeps it for about 24 to 48 hours, depending on the airtight container that you use. So give it a go. Don't doubt it. Give it a go and see the difference, because the other great thing about the yogurt is it gives it that zing. So remember, this is Junk Food Friday, and we're replacing all the high-fat things that we shouldn't eat very often with some healthier options that still give the excellent flavour. So that's my guacamole all ready to go. Now, if you wanted to make it really creamy and smooth like a dip, you could, but traditionally guacamole is supposed to be a little chunky, remember that. All right, I'm just going to go check this mince now, because I think it's pretty much ready for the beans and corn. All right, so you just give that a good stir, and I'm leaving it on high as I add the water, because I want to bring that water quickly to the boil and deglaze the pan from cooking that meat. So once the water comes back up to the boil, I then will turn it down to a simmer. So I'll give that a stir, and it helps to deglaze. So deglazing is when we get all that beautiful caramelizing of the meat and spices off the bottom of the pan and back into the liquid. And that's why with this recipe, if you don't want to, you don't need to use chicken stock, because the water will get an amazing flavour from the spices and the beef. So we'll just give that a really good stir. I'm going to let it come to the boil and then turn it down to a simmer. All right, so now we're going to finally cut some spring onion, and that gets folded through the guacamole, because you don't want to mush it up with the avocado, because like I said, guacamole is supposed to be a little bit chunky. So depending, if you don't like onion, or you're giving it to the kids, leave the onion out. All of these things are dependent. Same with the spices. Maybe you find the spice quantities I've used too strong. So decrease it. Make things to your flavour. It's just a guide, how I like to eat things. It's not necessarily how you like to eat it. And like I said, especially if you want to serve it to your children and you know that they don't like onion, hence I didn't put onion in the recipe deliberately, so it is versatile to use for the children and they'll eat it. But once again, get them used to eating avocado. Most kids actually love it. Get them involved in making the guacamole, and then they get it on their fingers and they lick it. That's how you get children to embrace different foods. Try to incorporate them into making some of the easier things that they don't hurt themselves on, because we do have to worry about that. But getting them to help out. That's how we embrace new foods. All right, the next component is the salsa that we're going to drop on top. Is off to get your 5-2 a day. 5-2 a day, that's your 5 veggie serves and your 2 fruit. You're about to have 6 different vegetables in one sitting. So you haven't even looked at your lunch yet, but you've gotten all your veg for the day. So have a look at the Australian Guide to Healthy Eating. It gives you some amazing tips on how to get all your veg serves for the day. So for this salsa, we're just going to dice up the cucumber. Same thing. Have a think about how you were treated by your parents when you were a kid. If they were chopping stuff up, my mum, she'd always give me a bit of carrot to eat in my hand, bit of cucumber. Kids, they'll embrace it. It's in their hand, easy to eat. Have a go, experiment with it. Maybe at first they look at you funny, but if you keep doing it, it's all about getting kids used to things. We all have trouble embracing change. So we just dice that up to a nice size. pop it into the bowl. So with your tomato, if you want to be successful at dicing and you don't have a sharp knife, a good tip, use a serrated one. Get a serrated one and use a sawing. Can you see that? Sawing back and forward, even if you have a sharp knife. I don't push down, I run the blade back and forward until it's worked its own way through the tomato. I don't push down as I do it. All right, from here, we get some nice chunks. Another tip, I was a bit lazy then, with your end bits, cut them on their own. Don't put them in the stack because that will create some resistance. So take your end bits, turn them over backwards, diced without anything getting squashed because that skin gives off a bit of resistance. So it's the best way to keep your tomato looking nice and diced. There we go. Now I've got a bit of spring onion left over. I love spring onion. I'm going to put it into my salsa to spice it up a little bit more. You can also use things like Spanish onion. Spanish onion's excellent in dishes like this, and it adds another colour. Because if you have trouble remembering the 5-2 rule, try to remember the rainbow rule. So your plate should look like a rainbow. Every meal, your plate should look like a rainbow. So we're going to give that a mix. So using a folding motion once again, so we don't crush things up. All right, then piece de resistance. Once again, Tabasco, if it's not your thing, leave it out. You don't have to put it. And try not to put tomato sauce on there because tomato sauce, you might as well just get a teaspoon of sugar and sprinkle it over the top. All right, so if you want some Tabasco, great option to spice it up, get that chili hit. But if it's for the kids, once again, you may not want to add that. Or a little bit to start getting them used to it once again. The other thing you can put in is some coriander, fresh coriander if you have it. Pick the leaves, fold it through. Looks amazing. All right, so we've got all our components ready. I'm going to check the beef and stir it, and we're just about ready to go. So, part of Junk Food Friday. Corn chips are on the outer. I've brought corn tortillas in. I've found some really amazing product in my local fruit and veg store. You should be able to find it readily. It's an Australian product, so we're even eating Australian made. Now these corn tortillas, why corn tortillas, these ones, and not corn chips? Your corn chips, if you turn the packet over and look on the nutritional information, have a look how much fat there is. The average pack of corn chips has about 28 grams of fat per 100 grams. Corn tortilla, this particular one, has 2.6 grams of fat per 100. Then have a look at your sugar content, your salt content, your flavorings, all of those things, taste bud stimulators. These are made from corn, ground corn, and a small amount of sodium. So small, I can't even taste the salt in there, and I'm not a salt eater, so I would taste it straight away. So how do we make it so it's like a corn chip so you get that nice little crunch? I'm going to show you, but I've got two versions I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you a corn chip version and I'm going to show you a soft shell taco version. So I'm going to take the whole one. I've had my sandwich press on heating. I'm going to pop it in my sandwich press. Yeah, I can fit both in there. So I'm going to put both of them in the sandwich press and we just toast those till they're not golden brown, just a little bit heated and softened. A little bit of colour's nice. Now, the corn chips that I've made, I did those a little earlier. I'm going to show you how to do it. Take 2 corn tortillas. Now this is enough for one person, the corn tortilla, 2 of them. Have a look. Cut them into your quarters, just like that. Really simple. Nice little chip sizes. Spread them out on your baking tray. Spread them out, get them going. Here we go, nice and flat. Then we pop them into a preheated 120 degree oven. You don't want it too high, otherwise they'll colour. You can see there's no colour in these. They're just like a corn chip. So we keep it low, we're just toasting them. Have a listen to this. Not bad, right? Nice and crunchy. Excellent flavour. I feel like I'm eating corn kernels. So give these a go. And once again, get your kids used to them. If you've been giving your kids nachos with CCs or whatever chips, corn chips you use, just put those into the bowl without even saying anything. See what they do. So I think the breads will be ready. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, here we go. Nice one. So we fold those over like so while they're hot. Once they're cooled down, they'll be harder to shape, and also over toasting them. So a little bit over toasted, one of them. So watch your tortillas in the sandwich press. They go pretty fast, but they still have made a nice little U shape that can hold some mince, some salad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill those first and then show you how to put it together, make it look pretty to really impress the kids or guests you might be having. So if you want your chili mix to be a little thicker, you can add some corn flour if you want to thicken it, or you can just reduce it down a little bit more. So you know how we simmered it? Once it's finished cooking for that 30 minutes, turn it up a bit higher and reduce some of the liquid down. But so it doesn't make, if you don't want to make your shells too soft, just pour some of that liquid off. You pop that into the bowl, fill the other one. Fill that one. Now we're coming over to put this all together. So you notice there's no cheese on the recipe. Discretionary food. If you want to really put cheese with your stuff, go for it. Once again, the kids, they need some dairy as well. So try using a low-fat cheese though. And you put your cheese on top first, and that way it melts. The next thing I love putting on top is the avocado, because as soon as it hits the heat, all those lovely flavours come out that we've put into it. All right, and you don't have to smother it. Stop making everyone think you've got to have food smothered in sauces and things all the time, because half the sauces we smother foods in are really doing us some harm because they're loaded with sugar, they're loaded with fats, they're loaded with preservatives. Right, we get this amazing salsa now, and we just sprinkle it on either end so the avocado is still visible. Just like so. Saving some for the nachos. Don't forget the nachos. Now, gardening. I love gardening. I grow a lot of my own greens. The naturopath at work, she loves me because whenever I get too many, I always take some up for her. So use the rocket. Make it pretty. Help it to make the dish look nice. If you want to, you can put some across the top, but let people see what they're eating. There you go. That's your soft, medium, hard-shelled taco in there. Now for the nachos. Here we go. Those will take about 15 to 20 minutes, so they're not quite ready. I'm going to serve this one up though, just to show you. With this one, make sure you get some of the sauces over those corn chips, because it's always nice when you get a bit of a mixture of the softer corn chips that have soaked up all the flavour of the sauce, and then some of the crunchy bits. Once again, people love crunch. It's one of the sensations we're used to. So we always, in order to satisfy the taste buds, we should try and include some crunch in every meal in some sort of component. So we're going to get that salsa in there, all the juices, because we can when it's the corn chips. We don't have to worry about things going soggy. Get all of those in there. And then we're going to add some amazingly fresh, just picked actually, my partner just picked this stuff, rocket. And that's your nachos. Now once again, Maybe for the children, you wouldn't put the rocket in, or shred it and sprinkle it around and then they'll mix it in. Get them used to eating green leaves, really important for them. So that's my Junk Food Friday. Beef nachos, give it a go. Head to the website, download the recipe blog, as well as have a look around that website. There's lots of interesting stuff. If you like this, please hit subscribe and hit like. Have a great day. See you next time.